Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Monday night reaction stream here on fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. I hope you are all well. Game week is drawing to a close. We aren't quite there yet. We've got one more game tonight, Arsenal-Everton. I think a lot of us own Arsenal players. I have Ramsdale in goal. Sorry, just trying to sort out. So you've got a bit of a better view of my team. There we go. Just trying to sort out what's going to happen in that game. We'll talk about some of the key talking points in this game week, as we always do. First, reaction. So are we wanting to get Jared Bowen in? What's the talk on Manchester City midfielders? Do we keep the likes of Son in our team? Should you be keeping Harry Kane if you still own him? What do we do with Manchester United assets as well? We will get through all of that, all of your key questions in today's stream. We have also added, I've got around adding the live chat below to get it up on screen as well, so you can see your comments coming up and it's easier for me to answer them as well. So they're all there. So let's dive straight in and start answering a few of them. Say hello first if you are in the chat. Let's see any of those familiar faces that we have already got watching this evening. But yeah, let's dive in and answer a few of the questions. My team is up on screen now. Maybe if I put the pick team screen up for... Oh, it does this sometimes to me. I don't quite know why. Let's leave it at that, where it zooms in and zooms out. But that's where we're at. We've got Ramsdale still to play. Again, I don't know why the fixtures are not showing anymore. There we go. This is how my team is lining up for next week. But yeah, Ramsdale's the only one to play tonight. I did bench Ben White. Maybe I could have played him. Gallagher blanked. I could have started him over there. I could have started him over Watkins. I could have started him over James. In theory, I could have started him over Jota. But I was happy enough with one Arsenal defender going away to Everton. So we'll see how that game goes tonight. Any predictions, let me know. We'll be waiting on any early team news that we get. I think there's a little bit of a doubt about whether Smith Rowe will be available. I personally think he will be. It's enough of a break that if there was a slight concern that to Monday night he should be okay. But we'll wait and see what if we get any early news or what happens with team news in an hour or so. So Dan, the British Gamer, Kinnan Ben, Andrew, Eddie, thank you all for joining and asking questions in the chat already. We have been asked, will Smith Rowe start? I personally think he will. I don't have any information that you guys don't. I don't have anything more than you do, but I personally think he'll be fine to start this evening. Ronaldo for Vardy or Bruno for Vardy? So we'll get on to Manchester United in a minute, but basically my philosophy is if you're owning a Manchester United asset, I really feel like it needs to be Ronaldo. The midfielders in the likes of Rashford, Sancho, we'll get onto it in a bit more detail, but I just don't think they're worth the money they are. Ronaldo's probably the only one that I think has the possibility of scoring enough points to be worth the price that we're paying for them. You never understand people asking YouTubers will X start. They've no insight. Well, I think occasionally people might do, but I don't, unfortunately. As much as I wish I had any bit of early team news, but... Saka to Foden for a -4. So, Copeland, how are we doing? I think Saka out is a good move. I don't think he's worth the price that he's at. Now, if you don't have any Manchester City midfielders, I'm interested to hear that Foden is the one that you will be wanting to go for and will be the pick that you'd be backing out of all of them. If you had to pick any Manchester City mid that you're going Foden first, probably Bernardo Silva second, and then Gundogan third. Now, if you have Bernardo Silva already, then that's completely fair enough. But I just think at his price, although it is getting closer and closer to Foden's price now, that's probably where I would go. Although their prices are probably quite close. I know Bernardo Silva went up to 7.5 last night, and I think Foden is 8.1. So there is only about $500,000 in it now. So I don't think it's too late, as Mo is just asking, is it too late to jump on Bernardo Silva? Absolutely not. I think he'll tick along really nicely. But actually, if I was going to bring one of them in this week, would I go Bernardo Silva? If I had the money spare for Foden, then I probably would go there. He looked really good, could easily have had more in that game, and his underlying stats are much better than they are for Bernardo Silva. So I would probably go with Foden first, Bernardo Silva second, Gundogan third. Now, the British Game is asking in the chat, why have I gone with Gundogan? Why have I not gone with Bernardo Silva? So I had Foden, and then he was out for a week, so I went with Foden. I had the choice of Bernardo Silva and Gundogan. I just much preferred the underlying numbers that Gundogan was putting up. Now, if I was to bring one in now, I would absolutely not bring in Gundogan. Although his underlying stats when he starts are better, there's that risk of less minutes like we saw at the weekend. And as well, there's a chance that he gets rested now that the likes of De Bruyne and Foden and Grealish are all back fit. Whereas I think Bernardo Silva is going to play pretty much every game as well as Foden probably. So Gundogan would be at the bottom of my pile. Now, I have 2 free transfers. There is a chance that I go Gundogan to Foden, Gundogan to Bernardo Silva. At the moment, I haven't confirmed what I'm going to do with my transfers. At the moment, I'm eyeing up a bit of Manchester United. Should I be going on Ronaldo? Should I be going on Bowen? Should I be getting Bernardo Silva? And are probably the key areas that I'm looking at to transfer with my team. Hi, Harry. You've had Foden for his nice run, but I'm thinking of whether to give him one more game versus Leicester or switch him to Antonio. I would really stick with Foden. I think he's got a really nice potential over the sort of Christmas run. He's not been in the team for the past couple because he's not been fit, but I think going into game week 16 and throughout Christmas, then Bernardo Silva would Foden is definitely a good pick. I would not be selling him at all. So yeah, Henry, I'd be keeping Foden if I had him. Well, he hasn't done too bad. Could have been much worse for you, I guess. Yeah, well, I was fighting hard for him to get the assist this week. Very happy that he did get awarded it. But, he got 66 minutes, probably because he's expected to start midweek. Then do I expect him to start the weekend again? And then it's 3 games in 8 days in the Premier League. So again, it's a lot of minutes for a player that I think is in the first choice team, but also has the chance to get rested as well. So we'll wait and see what happens. But I do have money in the bank, and a move from Gundogan to Bernardo Silva is definitely something that I think is possible for my team. Mbeumo and Rafinha out for Bernardo and Bowen. Eddie is asking, if you have 2 free transfers, I think they're really easy, straightforward moves. Mbeumo and Rafinha out. Mbeumo hasn't looked good. And now there's no Tony as well. Rafinha now has really difficult fixtures, bringing in Bernardo and Bowen, who I think are really nice picks to own over the Christmas run. They have nice fixtures, they're playing really well, and they're very involved in all the things that their team are doing. So one stat that I use a lot, and you can get it on Fantasy Football Hub, is goal involvement percentage. Now this means it goes a little bit like talisman theory. How involved, if there's a goal, what are the chances that the player that I own is going to be involved in that goal? So if he's on the pitch, what are the chances? And the likes of Bowen and Bernardo Silva at the moment, their goal involvement percentage is very high. They are involved in a lot of the goals that are being scored by their 2 teams. So I really like those 2 moves. And Mbeumo and Rafinha out, Bernardo and Bowen in. I cannot argue at all with those. Seem very straightforward to me. Mount for Rafinha, what are my thoughts? So Mount's one I've been asked a little bit about over the past couple of days as a Chelsea fan. Now, I still have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Mount in my team, but I would probably advise, if you don't have a Manchester City midfielder or you don't have Jarrod Bowen, that I would go and buy them before buying Mount. Now, he could be an okay 5th midfielder, but I just don't think his consistency of returns, his consistency of starts is going to be high enough. I think he'll start 2 out of the next 3, probably maybe 3 out of 3, but with the amount of options that Chelsea have on their wings, I think there's a chance he starts 2 out of the first 3. So if you don't have Bernardo Silva, you don't have Foden, you don't have Bowen, then those would probably be players that I would prioritise above getting in Mason Mount. I am keeping Wilson for Leicester and then selling. So again, I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking, how do I get a Manchester United player into my team? So looking at my team now, I think there's the only way I can get a Manchester United option into my team. And when I mean a Manchester United option, I mean, how do I get Ronaldo into my team? I look at Sancho, I look at Rashford at 9.5 million. I just don't think they're worth the price when I could get a Bernardo Silva or a Bowen over them. I think that Bernardo Silva and Bowen or Gundogan and Foden will probably outscore the likes of Sancho and Rashford, even though they have a really nice run of fixtures. So then I look at it and think, okay, I don't really want any of those midfielders. The defence is something else, like Dalot, I think we'll talk about. But the forward line is where there's room for me to get a player in, which would be Ronaldo. But then I look at my team and I think, okay, Wilson to Ronaldo is fine, but I've got to free up the money to do that. So let me go on my transfer page. If I wanted to do Wilson to Ronaldo. I'm left 3.6 million short. And pretty obviously, the only place that I can free up money like 3.6 million would be doing Son out. Now, it leaves me 6.7, so I could go Bowen. Right? So I could go Son and Wilson out to Ronaldo and Bowen. However, the issue there is that I then leave Gallagher in my team, who I think needs to... I'm pretty certain that getting Gallagher out either this week or next week will be a transfer that I want to use. And if I use these two transfers and go Son and Wilson to Ronaldo and Bowen, just bear with me, it's getting slightly complicated. It only leaves me 0.3 in the bank, which leaves me virtually nothing to be able to do with Gallagher. So then I'm stuck with him effectively for the next few weeks. So I'm basically having to decide between, do I want Ronaldo and Gallagher in my team? Or do I want Son and Wilson? Because I could just simply go Gallagher to Bowen for a 1 free transfer. Leave 0.8 in the bank if I wanted to do Gundogan to someone. Or I could do Wilson to King, for example. I could just simply do that 1 free transfer. So it's a way up of who I think will score more points in the next couple of weeks. Do I do Son or do I do Ronaldo? Effectively is what it boils down to. And I think for a lot of us, choosing between Son and Ronaldo is a very difficult decision at the moment. Sorry, that's me going on a bit of a monologue. Let's go back to some of your questions. Bringing in Ronaldo gives me 5.4 from mid. Any suggestions? Well, this is the thing. It's very difficult for a lot of us to get him in. I have slightly more in the bank so I can get to Bowen. But if I had to have 5.4 in the bank, I'd probably go cheap and try and put that money elsewhere. You know, invest it in doing Davies up to Josh King, for example. Now, that again is a possibility that I do Son and Wilson to... I get Ronaldo, I get Bowen this week. Play Gallagher against Everton, and then over the next couple of weeks, I sell Gallagher and I get... I think I can afford Josh King. Now, if I put... I actually don't know the answer to that. Can I afford getting Josh King? And can I afford... If I got Gilmore in my midfield, can I get Ronaldo and Bowen in here? I'm not sure I can, actually. Ooh, I can. Okay. So in theory, I could do that over the next few weeks. Play a 3-4-3 then. It doesn't leave me really, and well, depending on price changes, I could do Gundogan to Bernardo Silva still in this situation, but is Ronaldo's price worth it if I'm not going to captain him? Again, a key question. I think a lot of us looking to go and get Ronaldo in is thinking we're not going to captain him at all for the next couple of weeks. So if at all, apart from maybe game week 21, 22, but that's a long way away. Do I think he's worth it if he's not going to be captain? Yes, if it doesn't impact the rest of the structure of your squad. Now, if I had to get him and I had to play Gallagher every week, I'm kind of erring on the side that getting Ronaldo in but having to play Gallagher every week is probably not worth it. Now, if I could go and get someone else and then I could strengthen it like this with King, then I potentially think it, because those Watford fixtures are really nice. But Son has been so consistent, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. It is a bit of a way up for me between Ronaldo and Son. I think there's enough that I can do elsewhere in my team. If I needed to go Ronaldo, then fine, I can get King in. I can get King and I can save some money on Gallagher, fine. Or if I don't get Ronaldo, it's sort of Son, it's Bowen, it's a slightly more premium option up front. You know, I could do Wilson up to Antonio then for their nice run over Christmas. So there's a few little things which basically boils down to me of Ronaldo versus Son, and I'm having a very difficult time in making that decision. Just realised that I've just got the chat up. So for anyone new to Fantasy Football Hub live streams or to my reaction stream, we do have the chat section just below me where I answer all your questions. So do fire them away in the chat section. Anyone is free to comment, but there are 160 of you in here and only 19 likes. Come on. Let's like that stream. Let's get that up to 50 likes. It's only 30 needed, but hit that like button. Don't leave it for someone else is what I always say. But a few of you asking, would I do King or would I do Dennis? Now, The reason I would probably favour King slightly is underlying stats are slightly better. He's on penalties as well, and there's a chance that Dennis goes away to the African Cup of Nations. Now, he's not in the Nigeria squad recently, but there's a chance that he goes and gets in. Now, the fixtures are really nice, so I think either of them will score well, but they're pretty much the same price. It's a bit of a coin toss. If I had to back it, I would go with the stats, although going with the stats on Gundogan over Bernardo Silva didn't pay off completely, but it's probably the way that I would go. Hey Harry, in 2 game weeks time, what do I think about Alonso to Dalot swap to free up cash? So I'm looking at Dalot, and I just want to make sure, probably for the weekend and midweek, I want to know if Dalot starts both the next 2, right? Because if he does, then for me, like Livramento to Dalot is a great transfer, and I would be really happy with that given their fixtures, and it would strengthen my bench over Christmas no end. I would be so happy to make that move. I think he's first choice now. I think a new manager, he has absolutely no allegiance to Wan-Bissaka. Dalot is so much better going forward. They kept a clean sheet without Shaw on the pitch, without Wan-Bissaka on the pitch. They've got easy fixtures. Maybe if they came up against a Chelsea, a Manchester City, a Liverpool, they might want to play Wan-Bissaka for a bit more defensive coverage. But when they're wanting to create chances, I think Dalot is his place to lose. Any Manchester United fans in the chat, get in there and let me know what you think about Dalot versus Wan-Bissaka. But what I'm hearing is it's Dalot's place to lose now. So we could have a 4.4 United defender in a new system playing very advanced. I think it's a great option. Would be very happy to get him into my team if we saw that he was continuing to get minutes. So, hi Fergie. I seem to get that a lot. Fred, you're not the first person, and I know a few guys in the chat seem to come in and comment, hi Fergie. Ronaldo will be rested as well. Again, so this is the final thing we're going to talk about on Ronaldo, is if we look at his fixtures, we look at the Manchester United fixtures, they come in 2 sets of 3. So we've got game week 16, 17, 18, which falls as a weekend, midweek, weekend. And then we have a gap till Christmas where they don't play in the cup, so they get a week off. And then they play Newcastle, Burnley, Wolves. Now, before Norwich, we probably expect Ronaldo not to play against young boys in the Champions League. Probably think they're through their group there, so he probably should get rested. And then he'll get a rest going into 19, 20, 21 as well. So I suppose the question is, with a rest going into both those sets of 3 fixtures, how many minutes do we think he's going to get? Now, I think probably a realistic estimate is that he starts 5, benched in 1, starts 5, and gets 2 early subs if they're winning comfortably against any of those opponents. So maybe 2 full 90s, 2 or 3 early subs, and then a cameo off the bench, for example. Let me put, although I find it so difficult because of the way I'm sat, I hide the chat button on my laptop. Let me move some stuff around. Can I add a poll? Sorry, excuse me while I do this. Only issue with my setup is I can't see the add poll function. Sorry, I'm going to add, are you buying a Manchester United player for game week 16? So, Ronaldo, add option, Sancho, Rashford, Sancho / Rashford. I'm going to be really interested. Cool. Let's get that in the chat and let's see what all you guys are saying on Manchester United. Feel free to comment it as well. Are you planning on buying any of Manchester United's options? But there is the poll. Are you buying a Manchester United player for game week 16? So let's see what the results say on that one. Get voting on it. A few of you in there already. Don't know how to hide it from the little chat button there, but anyway. Vardy out for Ronaldo or Vardy out for Watkins and Allen out for Bernardo. So Amir, it depends how strong your squad is. If you don't need Watkins and Bernardo to play every week, then If you need them to play every week, then that's much better than having Ronaldo and Allen. But if it would, you'd be giving yourself a benching headache, then just go for Ronaldo. But I like Watkins and Bernardo. I'm on Watkins now. He was so unlucky to not get something against Leicester, which is annoying because come Norwich, he'll be more highly owned. Maybe if he scores against Liverpool again, he's a differential. But come 17-18, his ownership will start to rise, I think. So I'm very happy that I've got him early. I brought him in for Antonio this week, so although the transfer didn't pay off, I'm still happy that I made it. So, yeah, I think Watkins is a good shout. It depends how strong your bench is. Vardy out for Ronaldo. Can't imagine Ronaldo plays 3 games in 1 week with this high intensity football. Think I'm going without this week anyway. So I think he'll play against Norwich because I think he'll rest midweek. But I think there's a chance that he plays 2 out of 3 and then 2 out of 3 both times. I think both of these are possible, but we'll see what happens this week maybe. You're getting the best Diogo in the league from United. Exactly. I tweeted this. I'm going to get, after that Manchester United game, I'm really excited to own a Portuguese Manchester United player for game week 15, game week 16. It's Diogo Dalot, not Ronaldo and not Bruno Fernandes. But we'll see. There's a chance that I go Ronaldo. I'm just trying to decide exactly how I go and get him in. Matty Cash, a good shout. Matty Cash, yeah, the Villa fixtures again getting better. He gets very far forward. He's definitely got some attacking returns. I just don't quite know how you'd fit him into your team. If you're playing a 4 at the back, then yeah, go for it. But of course, I wouldn't own him over the likes of James, Trent and Cancelo. Cool. Let's go and wrap that poll up in a minute. So if you do just want to vote on that poll just before we do end it. Hi, Harry. Keep Wilson. You have 0.5 in the bank. So I'd probably keep him this week, but Wilson to Watkins next week looks a really nice transfer. So I'd probably go and do that next week. You can keep Wilson while he plays against a Leicester team who are conceding a lot of chances at the moment. But for the time being, next week, Wilson up to Watkins would definitely be the way that I would be considering going. So let's see the results of this poll. Let's click end. Which duo do I prefer, Son and Bowen or Jota and Bernardo Silva? Short term, Jota and Bernardo Silva, but then there's a chance Firmino's not out for very much longer. So I probably would still go Jota and Bernardo Silva, but then you could easily do Jota to Bowen if Firmino's becoming a problem. Sorry, you could do Jota to Bowen if Firmino's a problem, yeah. Cool. So let's wait for those results to pop up. Antonio versus Watkins, talk to you. So I sold Antonio for Watkins this week. I think Bowen is the best West Ham asset to own, even excluding price. If they were the same price, I'd probably still go Bowen over Antonio. Now, I think both are good options, and I could end up going back to Antonio in a few weeks. But I like Watkins. If you saw how focused, how involved he was in the Villa attack. Now, we know what owning Watkins has been like in previous seasons. We know how painful it has been at times to own Watkins, how many chances he needs and how many he misses at times. But we also know it's better that your player is involved and getting chances than not getting them at all. So I'm still pretty happy that I own him. I think he's a good option going forward. Of course, if you have Antonio against Burnley this week, you keep him because Watkins has Liverpool. I was just checking my fixtures were not updated there, but there. Cool. So 42% of you, the majority, are waiting and seeing on Manchester United. 36% are going for Ronaldo. 12% are going for Sancho or Rashford. And then 9% are going in for another Manchester United asset. Probably Dalot, maybe a few Bruno Fernandes is in there as well. Play Mbuemo or Wilson. I would start Wilson. I think, although he's been quite fortunate to get returns in the past couple of games, that Leicester side are not good defensively, particularly from set pieces. Okay, maybe doesn't benefit Wilson that much, but I still really like him. Should I sell? Should you do Son and Brownhill to Foden and Bowen for free? Again, selling Son is a difficult one, but I like those two moves. Again, I don't know what it does to your bench, but I think that move makes sense. I don't love selling Son, but the 2 players you're bringing in are better than the 2 players that you're selling. It depends what it does to your bench. It depends who it puts on your bench as a result, because you won't have been starting Brownhill each and every week. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate it. No worries, everyone. I'm doing Son and Tony for Bowen and Ronaldo, as that was always the plan. But I do really want Dalot this week too. I don't think not having Dalot is going to punish you. I think you can wait a few more weeks just to make sure Dalot is in there and he is first choice. So I would just wait a couple of weeks, do your transfers elsewhere. Once you have a spare transfer, fine, bring in Dalot. But for the time being, I don't think it's a rush. I think bringing him in now is a little bit hasty. Just wait and see what happens with the position at right back, whether we see Wan-Bissaka coming back in. If he doesn't, game week 17, 18, fine. I'll be buying Dalot. But thoughts on Bamford in the near future? Yes, if their next 4 fixtures were not some of the worst that you could possibly get, then yeah, absolutely I would go and consider getting Bamford in. But I have to wait and see on those fixtures. Have to wait and see. Will not be rushing that one at all. Wait and see what happens on Bamford. He looked good when he came on. Is it good to both own Antonio and Bowen? So yeah, they have really nice fixtures. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going and owning Antonio and Bowen. I'm likely to own Bowen, and it could easily work out that I own Antonio as well in a few weeks. Hopefully his price drops a couple more times, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully a blank versus Burnley. But yeah, I think they both offer good value. I think West Ham showed they continue to want to score goals, and both of them will be heavily involved, I think, over Christmas. You owned Tavares. Is he a good option, or should you move on? Again, I can hold on to him. I would be waiting and seeing what Dalot is going to do. If Dalot keeps his place, 4.4 defender for United, playing as advanced as he did, yes, they've only kept, I think, 2 clean sheets all season, but they look much better already defensively in that game. Conceded virtually no chances at all. So, no big chances, to be fair. So, if you've got any of these defenders, like Livramento, like Tavares, that you're potentially considering transferring out, just give it a few weeks, sit them on your bench, wait and see what happens with Dalot in game week 16 and 17. If he starts both of them and plays well continuously, I think it's safe to say that we can go and buy Dalot, but I just don't want to go there quite yet. Foden or Bernardo Silva? I'll probably go Foden, bringing in one now. If you have all the money in the world, I'd go Foden. If you don't, Bernardo Silva is a very good second option. Anybody else notice those Lukaku fixtures? Now there's an interesting differential. So you're not the first person that I've seen talking about Mr. Lukaku. Next to Everton, Leeds at home, Everton at home, Wolves away. Again, I just think there's a chance he isn't raced back to play 90 minutes week after week, that he doesn't start all 3 of those next 3 games. I think Chelsea showed while he was out that they're capable of scoring and creating a lot of chances without him in the team. So what I think that means is not that he's now not going to be first choice, but that if he needs a rest, we're best off playing so that he's at his maximum whenever he plays. If that means not playing him 3 games in a week, then fine. Havertz, Werner, Pulisic can play through the middle. There is plenty of opportunities for other players to play the role that he would be playing at the moment. But yeah, just Ronaldo would definitely be coming in for me before Lukaku is. Gray or Bowen? Bowen. Bowen is the best under 7 mil midfield option, I think, by far, and has shown it consistently for a fair few weeks. It doesn't feel like a flash in the pan that maybe we've had with some midfielders like Gallagher. Smith Rowe consistently doing it, although got a bit lucky last week with that goal. Well, he wasn't lucky. It was a legit goal, but just didn't help that David De Gea was on the floor at the time. Is everyone King instead of Dennis? This dude is having a career year. Stats said Mbuemo is good. Well, stats said Gundogan is good. Stats say King is a better option than Dennis, but sometimes you've just got to think, maybe I go with the eye test, which backs King before it backs Dennis. So yeah, I would be going King if I buy one, but there's a good chance Dennis seems a little bit more explosive, whereas I think King will be a bit more consistent. Thoughts on Mount? Did really well in the last 2 games. I agree, but I just can't get on board with Mount as an FPL asset. Just think there's enough players in those wide positions that means his minutes are not always going to be that great. And when you've got a player like Bernardo Silva, when you've got a player like Jared Bowen, Jota, Foden, that I'd probably be wanting to own over him, then yeah, I can't see Mount outscoring those sort of options. So for me, he's not a bad option, but I would want to wait and see what happens. Thinking about Son and Smith Rowe to Foden and Bowen, already have Bernardo and Salah and Jota. I quite like those moves. Son this week against a Brighton team who have virtually no one fit, as well as being on all set pieces now, would worry me a little bit. They've scored a lot from corners, although he hasn't got the assist. He's been heavily involved for Spurs. But wait and see what happens with Smith Rowe tonight. But I don't hate those moves. At some point, whether it's this week or further down the line, I'm not entirely sure, but I do like those moves overall. Upgrade Tony to Antonio or Sanchez to De Gea. I would keep Sanchez, although there's a lot of injuries there, but Tony has to go, right? Tony's out for this week. He has COVID, and he will virtually impossible for him to play this week, and I don't think he'll play midweek as well. So Tony upgrade is definitely more of a priority than it is to do Sanchez to De Gea. Bowen or Maddison, I'd be going Bowen. Those long-term West Ham fixtures are much nicer than Leicester's. Leicester, you're buying very short-term in comparison to Bowen. What do I do with Kane? Now, Kane, I really think if you've got Kane, a switch to Ronaldo is very easy. He's looked very off it. He had a chance, didn't finish it. If you don't want Ronaldo and you want to do elsewhere, then Watkins. But you save Ronaldo, you keep Kane for a week, and then you go Watkins. But I think he's got a maximum of 1 week left in your teams. He scored 1 goal all season. Like, this isn't just, he hasn't returned in the past couple of games. He's got 1 goal all season. Yeah, I think you're really unlucky if you went Kane. Because those fixtures, Everton, Leeds, Brentford, Norwich, and he scored 8 points combined. You were so unfortunate to not get anything from Kane there. I went Son, and I'm counting my chickens that it ended up being the right decision, and the right decision by such a long way. Could easily have gone horribly wrong. I had a decision between Son and Wilson and Kane and Smith Rowe, I think. And my gosh, how I got that one right. Now, I beat myself up for getting Bernardo Silva versus Gundogan wrong a few weeks ago, but I've made a fair few other choices recently which have paid off, so I'm happy with those ones. You always focus on the negatives though, don't you? Bernardo or Foden. If I was buying one, I'd buy Foden if I had the money. A few questions on Alonso. Is Alonso 4th premium defender still an option? I still think a 4 premium is still an option, but when you look at the likes of, although Reguilon went off injured, Spurs keeping clean sheets, potentially Dalot at 4.4, I'm finding it slightly more difficult to think that a 4th premium is worth it. If you've got him, I wouldn't go sell him, but I probably wouldn't be buying Alonso into my team now. If I didn't own Alonso, I wouldn't be buying him. Now, I didn't buy him in the first place because I just quite like one defender from each team. That's fine. James, Trent, Cancelo, fine. I didn't want to make it more or less, more than it needed to be. But if you have Alonso, keep him. If you need to throw up money, then it's a good place to do it. But yeah, for the time being, I wouldn't go buying him. He's probably a hold. Telles or Dalot, who would be bringing in out of the two of those. So Dalot, it's not a bad... Telles is not a bad option. I would be favouring Dalot. I think Shaw has the potential to outplace Telles because he's very good going forward, and we know Shaw is capable of that. But we also know that Wan-Bissaka is not good going forward, and Dalot has the real potential to come in and take that off him in a system that needs an attacking fullback. So I would go Dalot, but as I've said in the stream so far, if you're going for a Manchester United option, please, especially in defence, just wait a couple of weeks, see if Dalot is continuing to play, and then go and get on him. That is really my word of caution. Can someone please send Kane to play Championship football? I brought Kane specifically for Norwich match and captained him. I mean, you were unlucky. You probably should have scored in that game. It's Norwich as well. They scored 3 goals and Kane still didn't get anything. I really feel for anyone who went Kane, especially those who captained him this week. Ramsdale or De Gea, also worth a hit for Sanchez long term. Let's have a look. I would still probably back Ramsdale because I think his save and bonus point potential is higher. Although they're at the same price now, given the United fixtures, I'd probably go Ramsdale because if we find out that Dalot is an option, then having Dalot Ramsdale is good. But you don't really want, De Gea White isn't nearly as exciting. So I probably would go Ramsdale if you were going to go and consider getting Dalot in a few weeks. If that's not a possibility for you, then I probably would go to Gea. Now that they're at the same price, I probably would. Kane, Rafinha, Hwang to Ronaldo, Bowen, King for a -4. So you'd be selling Kane for Ronaldo, Rafinha to... Yeah, absolutely. The 3 players you're bringing in and kit is so much better than the players that you are selling in that transfer. Beating myself after picking Gundogan. So Cole, you've done exactly what I've done in my team. You had Foden. Foden got injured. You sold him for Bernardo Silva. You sold him for Gundogan. Gundogan then missed a game, and then Bernardo Silva has just gone off crazy. I'm kicking myself for it. 5-4-1. Is it good with fire emojis to go with it? Yeah, it's not a bad option. I just don't like what it does to your bench. Now, if your bench is fine, then playing it, then fine. I think there's enough good midfielders and potential forwards for the next few weeks that I think 4 at the back is probably what I do. With a combination of team structure and there being enough options elsewhere, but it's not a bad option. There's plenty of value in defence. If you look at predicted points, then a 5 at the back formation I think comes out on top. James in for Alonso worth a -4. Probably not. Probably wouldn't do that for a -4, Mr. Brown. If you've got Alonso, I just keep him as it is. But why Foden over Bernardo? Bernardo Silva is massively overperforming his expected numbers. Now, his expected goals he scored 2 goals off 0.25 XG at the weekend. Now, he's on incredible form, and players on form outperform their XG, right? Players who are playing with high confidence, like he obviously is, outperform their XG, and it often happens. But I just can't see it being sustained to the same level that he is doing at the moment. Foden, on the other hand, was unlucky to only get what he did with a 7-pointer. Just think that the returns for Foden are probably going to outweigh the returns for Bernardo Silva in the long run. But that's just my opinion. Quick break and breather. 275 of you watching, by far my most popular Monday night stream. So if you are new, please consider subscribing. There's also a link in the channel in the description to my channel. Please go and consider subscribing. Looking for a few new subscribers. Every new subscriber on my channel over the month of December gives 10p to charity. So if you want to do your good deed for the day, go and subscribe to my channel and give 10p to charity. Also, memberships, donations, super chats, all of that goes to charity during December as well. Link in the description to that. But if you do just want to drop a like on the stream as well, if we can just get it to 100 likes, it's only 30 more needed as well. So drop a like as well. But yeah, if you do fancy going and supporting charity, doing your good deed for the day, whoever you are, a subscribe and I will donate 10p to charity, all of them during December. We've already donated, we're already on about £10, 100 new subscribers since the start of the month. And then also, I think it's about £160 is the estimate. So anything like that, if you do fancy joining as a member, all of that goes to charity over there as well. But just painted your bathroom Damari Gray. That's a good one. That is, I'm going to reuse that. I'm going to asking permission to steal it's not a meme, but on the wildcard, Brian says, which combo, Reguilon and Johnson or Dalot? So it looks like Johnson might be out for a while. So I'd go Dalot and Tomiyasu. Bowen in for Rafinha. Such a straightforward transfer this week for me. If you have Rafinha, Bowen in for him feels so straightforward. Again, if you have Mbuemo, if you have Gallagher, those guys to Bowen feels like such a straightforward move. If you don't go Ronaldo and you have a transfer, then those guys to Bowen feels so straightforward. Maybe we've missed Bowen's haul, but he's looked so good recently. I think there's a really good chance that he keeps it up over the Christmas period. I definitely want to get Bowen into my team, whether it's this week or whether it's in the next couple of weeks. firmly one player that I will be wanting to own. Smith Rowe and Tony for Broha and Mount. I probably wouldn't go Mount. Again, I'd probably favour Bowen. I'd probably go Bernardo Silva before I go Mount. Sorry, I'm just checking on my phone to see what the size of the chat is like. Why is it so blurry? Sorry, it's fixed itself. Yeah, I would say the chat is about the right size. Maybe it could be slightly bigger, but first time of having it. Do you guys like having the chat on screen? I suppose it doesn't really matter to you if you have chat to read below, but I think it's quite a nice visual as well. When I had space there, nothing there, so just edit that a little bit. Cool, there we go. Maybe it's slightly bigger. You need to sell Kane. Who is the better replacement for him? Lukaku, Antonio, or Watkins? I'd go this week. It would be Antonio, but long term, I still really like Watkins. I think he's got a really nice run of fixtures from next week, starting with Norwich, well, midweek. So, yeah. Chat looks better on screen. Cool, well, I'm glad. Soufal is a serious option again. He is, and they have a really nice run of fixtures starting this week as well. So, I would consider going with him again. I find it hard to find space in my team. If you were playing 4 at the back, then you could go with him. Like a 4 at the back where you had Soufal and Dalot as your 4th and 5th would be really good. If I was on a wild card this week, it might be something that I'd consider, but finding it hard with all the others. But you've got to be considering Soufal. 4.7 million as well. Because he lost his place, he's had a couple of drops in price as well. So, yeah, worth looking at him for sure. Especially with Ben Johnson looking like he's going to be out for a few weeks. Now, wait and see what happens with him. There could be a chance that he comes back sooner than expected. But what do I think of Barnes? Slowly getting into form. Again, their fixtures are fine for the next few, but then they get quite difficult. So, and there's always the chance that they go and change formation. Although they've played this one for a fair few games with Lookman and Barnes, there's always a slight chance that it changes. I think there's probably better options like Bowen. Son and Vardy out with Rafinha for Bernardo, Foden and Ronaldo. Yeah, Isaac, I really like those moves. Absolutely. We'd definitely be making those moves. Although it's probably a -4, I still think it works out. Oh, yeah, I know. You get the big chat on the side. Oh, well. It's there as well. If people watch back, they like it on screen anyway. So, Captain Son, green arrow every week. I love that. I saw you. I remember you in my stream, and I think you said you were going to captain Son, and I was like, oh, go for it. Probably thinking I'm a bit nervous of that. But anyone who captains Son this week is loving life. What a massive green arrow that must have been. Outscored Salah by 10 or something. Absolutely hats off to anyone who captains Son. Is Josh King worth it long term? I mean, at his price, I do think so. Watford should score goals over those. Sorry, I was just reading another question. I do think long term, I think they'll score goals. They've been scoring goals and now they have an easier run of fixtures. So I think Josh King is definitely worth considering and a really nice budget option at all. So the question I was reading is from Stephen and and Cole then replied, you brought Mo at 12.5, so quite a lot of value there. Would you consider benching him while he was away in December or sell? So he is now up at what? 13.1. If I was to sell him at 12.8, I would be losing 0.3. If he stayed at his price. Now, if he's away for 2 weeks, he's dropping a minimum of 0.1. Probably 0.2, if not 0.3. I think the price falls that we'll see for him will be... He's going to fall at least, 0.2? Which would mean I'm only spending an extra 0.1 when I go to buy him back. And I think the points for spending, benching 13 million on my bench, I'd probably still want to sell him. Wasn't Watkins a troll? If you watch the game at the weekend, it was exactly the same Watkins. He got into good positions, got chances and missed them. But as I said, you're better off. Once you've had Watkins a while, you know what to expect when you watch him. And I knew kind of, when it happened once or twice, I was like, okay, I've got the old Watkins. I know what he can do and I know he'll get returns. But I also have to be infuriated every time I watch him that he will miss chances. But I still like him and I still think he will get chances as well. Is Ronaldo a must? I don't think so. Definitely not this week. He's a good pick for sure, but I just don't know quite how often I think he's going to play and exactly how explosive is he going to be now that they're playing two up front. That is my other concern as well. If they're playing two up front, are they going to be sharing points more? So I put a tweet out, I think on Sunday evening, and I was like, my worry about Manchester United is they turn into Manchester City in terms of rotation and sharing points, but are more expensive and don't score as many goals. So they're just a worse version of Manchester City, effectively. They don't score as many goals. They share the points as much. There is as much rotation, which is putting me off their assets a lot when I put it like that. But I don't think he's a must at all, and I would probably say there's a 40% chance I own him for next week. Salah's too expensive to hold. I think I probably agree. Dalot or buy. I'd probably wait a few weeks just to make sure that he continues to start. Bernardo, Sancho or Rashford. Already have Jota for. I'd still go Bernardo Silva. I still think he's a better option. 9 million for Sancho. 9.5 for Rashford when there's Greenwood, Cavani, Martial all knocking on the door wanting those starting spots. When they play 3 times a week, it's just too much rotation risk for me, personally. That's why I definitely don't want any of the mids. The only one that I would have... The only one that I would have probably any confidence of him starting all of those, well, is Ronaldo. But I think if I tried to predict, right, I would say Ronaldo 5. I would probably say Bruno 5. I would then probably put Rashford, Sancho 4 of the 6, which makes me think, no thanks, I don't want Rashford or Sancho starting 4 out of 6. So then it's Ronaldo or Bruno, the only two that I think will start 5 of the games. Bruno's too expensive when you look at the other midfielders you can get, which leaves only Ronaldo, who I still think is too expensive. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments. Am I the only one that's being so pessimistic on some of those United assets? Because I just worry that there's not going to be enough minutes for them to score as many points as we potentially want. Just trying to see if we've got anything early on Arsenal. Doesn't look like it at the moment. If I go Rafinha to Foden, I don't have enough money to go Kane to Ronaldo. Yes, then just do Bernardo Silva. If Foden's great if you can afford him at this price. Foden is great if you can afford him at this price. But if you don't have the money, saving that money and going Bernardo Silva, I have absolutely no problem with at all. In that case, if you can't do... If it's either Rafinha and Ronaldo or Foden, Kane, Bernardo, Ronaldo. Yeah, Bernardo for sure. Fixtures are so good for Man United, and they couldn't have got any worse. This is a thing. Well, I suppose, but it's the same situation on that we did with Spurs. Dennis has been called up apparently to the provisional squad. Well, again, worth noting if you are buying King. I haven't seen that myself, but the fixtures are so good, the players are so out of form, and the team is so out of form, right? It's exactly what we had with Spurs. We were buying into a team that we knew were capable of scoring goals, and we knew they had plum fixtures, and we knew what they were capable of doing. But we were buying it on a hunch. And it's the same of United, although the fixture period that we want to buy them for is longer. But it's the same as we did for Spurs. Now, if you've gone Kane, I think it's very easy to go Kane for Ronaldo. But if you've gone Son, it's just so difficult. Although he is better at home. has scored more points at home. Home, blanked, home again, scored away, home, that's away, home. Tends to score more points at home, and the fixtures coming up are not very good at home, and the easy ones are away. What are my moves this week? Am I playing Watkins? I think so. I think there's enough chance that Villa creates something in that game and Watkins could easily be involved. I don't like my bench. White I could start, but I probably am going to go Watkins. I'm probably going to leave it as it is before my transfers. Transfer plans for those of you guys watching is Gallagher to Bowen could happen, or I can use Son and Wilson if I want to get Ronaldo. It just boils down to, I want Son or do I want Ronaldo? Now, Janager didn't pick Ronaldo in Euro Fantasy. Portugal might be different for United, but he does well against smaller teams like Hungary. This is true. And this leads on to another conversation I've had this week, or the past couple of days, is that Ronaldo played every game for Portugal in the Euros. Now it's different because it's Portugal and he loves playing for Portugal and he's practically the manager of that team. But he did it in the Euros, so in theory he's capable of doing it. He's capable of playing it, but is he going to do it? Luxury Life, he said Ronaldo could have had 2 or 3. I think United will be good goal scoring under Rangnick. I do, but I only think Ronaldo is one of the ones that I want to go with. If you look at their stats from the weekend, he has the highest XG from the weekend and it's 0.3. I can put it up on screen and we can have a look, but let me just pull it up. Just hide that so I don't show you my login details when I'm logging in. Lord, I'd Cancelo those moves. Stephen, full of the jokes today. Game week 17, Wilson to Watkins. I think that'll be very popular. Right, Opta stats. Here we go. Cool. So let's look at this week. Man U, right? If we sort by XG, Ronaldo had a 0.3 XG this week. 4 shots in the box, which is good, and that stands out. That is a good stat. No one else had more than 1 shot in the box, which included Fred. And then if we look at who had the decent shots, Fred, Fernandes. So Sancho down here. Rashford didn't have a single shot. He made 3 key passes. Rashford I definitely wouldn't be going with. Sancho again, that leaves nothing that I want. Fernandes at 11.6 million. Again, I don't want. It really, for me, is Ronaldo or no one. Confirmation bias. A little bit. Maybe. But Fred in. I'm just looking at... I was like, I want to get Ronaldo, and I thought I would look at the stats, and I saw this, and I thought, doesn't hardly fill me with any confidence, but do I not have Bowen for this week? Again, could easily come into my team. I have 2 free transfers this week, so there's plenty that I could go and do with this for sure. 3 likes away from 100. Dalot and Telles, apparently, yeah, or potentially, yeah, definitely looking at Dalot at his price. It's the fixtures, really. Antonio and Alonso or James and Watkins. Antonio and Alonso or James and Watkins. James over Alonso, so probably the James options. His stats weren't anything. King has one of the best stats. Well, this is it. This is why people are trying to decide between King and Dennis. And if you look this season, King has the highest XG. XG, if we put it per 90 as well, hide low minute players. King had a higher XG per 90 by 0.15. He also has a higher, well, a pretty marginally better XA, higher predicted points of 1 per 90. It's very close between the pair of them. Thoughts on Son captain? This week, I probably wouldn't. Villa at home. They've not been bad, but again, I'm just leaving it on salary. He's so consistent with his returns. Didn't score last week, so I kind of think he'll score this week. Just tends to be how it works with them. Jesus a sell now. If you have Jesus, he'd probably a sell. He's not playing tonight because he's... So, let's wait and see if that... There's an Arsenal team flying around which does not include Smith Rowe. Don't know if it's not a source I've seen before, so we'll wait and see. But Sarr also has a high XG, but he's a troll. I owned Sarr at the beginning of the season, so anyone who is new to me, I owned him when he scored 2 goals, I think in about game week 3 or 4. I brought him in and he scored twice and then scored once and then was rubbish for me the next weeks, and I kept playing him. But I still got his points early on. Sancho will be great. Seeing him play as a wide cam, believe Ronaldo, you get into the box more often. I really don't see myself owning Sancho over Son, for example. I just don't see that. I don't see that being a solution for me. So I really think it's Ronaldo or Son for me, and I have to decide between the two. It's pretty close. Sorry, I was saying something about Jesus. Yeah, out of the squad for injury for the Champions League game. Players playing out wide, playing pretty well. I think there's enough good options on up front, potentially Antonio, Watkins that you could go to. If you want to wait and see if he's fit for the weekend and keep him for one more before going Watkins, then great. But I think long term he's a sell. Do I have squads for tonight's game? I do not. I'm just looking at some things that are being thrown around on Twitter. We'll wait for 3 minutes and then we'll wrap up the stream. I think Antonio will score against Burnley, quite potentially, and then my transfers for the past couple of weeks will have looked dreadful. But I got a big green arrow this week. Let me know, we haven't done, how you guys got on this week, actually. Put your scores in the chat. Who do you have left as well? And any transfers that you made. So let me know your score and anyone you've got left in the chat section just before we wait for that Arsenal lineup. Cool. What's my total points? I will have a look for you. I have Ramsdale left to play, and I am on 984 points. 52-29. That's a rough week, but a lot of people have had bad weeks. If you didn't own a few key players, then yes, very difficult. Very difficult week indeed. $67, Tierney left, 64, 65. Some nice scores in there. Cool. 63 with Smith Rowe, total 976, 53 plus 5. Again, we're just going to wait and see. I thought Smith Rowe would be fine. 40 and Ramsdale and Smith Rowe left. Some nice scores in here, definitely. 55 points, brought in Bernardo, benched him, not by choice. How come, Bob? What happened? 63, Richarlison tonight. Interesting differential there. 51, a few Smith Rowe's left. Let's go and have a potential look. Let me hide the display capture quickly. Let's get Arsenal Twitter up and we will see the live stream is dead. Get someone engaging next time. Lovely. So let's go and get sorry, I'm just pulling this up. Cool. I hope you have enjoyed the stream. We'll just wait for this Arsenal team to pop up. You're in jump to 50k. Sorry to whoever that was that didn't enjoy the stream. I do apologise. I will do my best to improve it for you all next time. No Smith Rowe in the squad for Arsenal tonight. No Smith Rowe in the squad. Unfortunately, sorry to all Smith Rowe owners. But we are going to wrap up the stream there. I hope you have enjoyed. I will post a link to my channel again in the chat. If you want to go and watch anything of mine, if you want to subscribe, that gives 10p to charity in December. Or if you just go watch the video as well as the advert at the beginning, all that ad revenue goes to charity as well this month. So just watch the video. That's what the link is for. Subscribe over there. Subscribe to Fantasy Football Hub if you are new. I'm back every week and I will see you all next Monday, I think. It may be Sunday, but I'm pretty sure it will be Monday again. Thank you all. Good luck to anyone who still has players tonight. And yeah, hope some of you enjoyed the stream. Cheers all.